everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who Invited Her. We are San Diego's LGBTQ pop culture podcast. I'm your host, Tony, and I'm here with my other host.
I'm Daddy Bear Eric.
Yes, you guys, and we were off last week. We're so sorry. We missed our traditional 420 episode. Why? Because I got a cold. And it wasn't COVID just before you start sending all your mail and DMs. No, I had a cold, so we had to cancel our big 420 show.
I was so excited for it, too.
I know. We might do it as a bonus. We talked about maybe doing it as a bonus.
Yeah.
But you guys, we have a very special guest today that I'm super excited to have on the show.
Oh, it's me. Oh, work. Hi.
Yes, the bearded black activist queen of San Diego. We've been talking about her on the last show. Amber St. James is with us for the whole episode.
Hello, hello,
Look, the kids are thrilled.
Guess what? I love to teach the children. You can't stop me from doing a cute little TED Talk in the middle of everything all the time.
How are you, Amber?
I'm doing good. You know, I am alive today. We were
Yeah.
up till like 3 a.m. Didn't get home till about 4 a.m.
Were you working?
Oh, mama, I working
Show
with
last
an O
night?
and working with an E. Okay, it was a full situation. Working with SDSU, girl, shows don't end until 3 a.m.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you are a local queen here in San Diego. Wait, I got to ask, how old are you?
I'm 26.
You are a baby. You're a baby.
Look,
baby.
I may look like a baby, but once I start talking, people are like, "Oh, so you're not like 30?" I'm like, "Give me like a couple years,
You know
I
what?
will be."
That is a compliment.
Yeah.
That is a compliment.
That is a
'cause There
compliment.
are some people that I know that are in their 50s, but they have the personality and the behavior of a 12-year-old. So that says a lot.
I'm right here. I'm right
I
here.
know. I was trying not to look your way, but
I have a name.
How did you come up with the name Amber St. James? Where did it come from?
Well, when I was in high school, as most queer kids do, I talked shit about all the people who were mean to me on the YouTubes, which that YouTube channel has now been deleted, so don't go looking for it. Unless you're just really good at the tech shit. But I had a character on there who was like almost like my annoying little sister who would like always burst in when I was talking shit about somebody. And so then when I went to college and I like started dipping into drags and things like that, and I was like, oh shit, I need a name. And I was like, ooh, let's go with Amber because that was the character's name. And I was like, but she needs a full situation.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, let's do Amber James because my last name. And I was like, that's still missing something. It needs that genocide, that little spice on it. And I was like, well, I could take inspiration from like a lot of like the queens that come before me, where it was like the Devereaux, the Saint Laurent, like that very like hefty kind of name. And I was like,
I like how you say hefty.
Girl, okay, because it got status and it got an oomph right behind it, okay? You'd be like, oh, here comes Shantae Devereaux III from the house of LaBeija, and you're like, oh, mama, that's the bitch who gonna shut it down, right? So I
And
threw
then
in
they're like
Saint.
this.
Girl, okay, have you real pissed? You're like, bitch, I had my hopes on you and you failed me,
I have my
okay?
dollar bills ready.
Okay, Addison, give me
look
that
what
dollar.
you
You don't
did.
deserve it. Let me give it to somebody. Let me give it to this, this Sally over here. She turning it. But so I threw in Saint, and I was like, ooh, Amber St. James. Ooh, that rolls off the
It
tongue.
does,
And here we
yeah.
are 8 years later, and I was like, you know what? We're not rebranding. And I've had a lot of people ask me, like, Mama, no, it's
Why
too
would
late
you
now.
rebrand?
Yeah, why?
I don't know why people would ever ask me that. I mean, that was mostly an early question that they used to ask me, and I'm like, girl, it's a little too late now. People
Too
know
late?
me,
Yeah.
and a rebrand would be very hard to do right now.
Where did you grow up? Are you from San Diego originally?
Born and raised.
Me
native.
too. Another native.
yes!
It is so hard to find another native. We're like unicorns.
That
in
part.
San
That
Diego.
part. But the irony is, most people who tell me that are
Yeah.
people who are not from here.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, I've never met a native.
A lot of the kids I grew up with, and they moved away. There's like maybe a handful of my old friends from like high school that still live here in San Diego. But so what part of San Diego did you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
So
like
I grew up in Encanto, and I went to Morris High School.
Morris, I know Morris. Okay. Did you
Yeah.
go to college here or no?
Yes, I went to San Diego State.
San Diego State, that's
Yeah,
right. And
yeah.
you do a lot of work with San Diego State
Yes.
still, don't you?
Which
we're
I
gonna
do
get
love
into.
it. I love
Yeah.
it, but dealing with universities, there's a lot of things and bureaucracies and paperwork
Sure.
and bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
But I honestly, I have to give like a major thank you to them for like all of the amazing connections I've been able to build and like just the space that they've allowed me to really create up there for like the last 8 years, where we have like this budding drag community that I think honestly, and we joke about this a lot, but like we kind of run a factory up there. Like
Yeah.
every year there's a new batch of performers, and we'll take them through all the different shows that we're doing, and then eventually they go out into the scene, and then they start getting booked, and I'm like, that's what I like to see.
So you have a drag school like summer camp training program.
Pretty much.
Honestly,
Honestly,
in San Diego.
honestly, we do call it the Drag Academy because we're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I
you know,
love
we'll have like
I
our
love
smaller
that.
shows where performers can like dip a toe, start to get a little intimate,
Yeah,
like figure out
yeah,
what their
yeah.
personality and stuff is, and then we have competitions ones so they can like work on their skills against
Yeah.
other girls, and then we have our
Yeah.
pageant. So then that it's like, oh, if you're more of a look performer, then we have
Yeah.
that, and then we have like our large scale ones where we get like thousands of people. We're talking like $20,000 to $30,000 that I'm
Are you
producing.
serious? Oh,
I'm
wow.
not even joking. So Miss Mama,
Wow.
when I tell you I work,
You
she
work.
works. Okay, she works.
Which is
Yeah.
cool because there's certain queens in San Diego, and I've said it on the show before, that you just see them all the time, and they're always doing shows. They're just hustle.
Yeah.
Which I learned about you during actually COVID.
That
Because
sounds about right.
I because I was like following Alanis. Alanis.
Alanis
There's a
Morissette.
rebrand.
I know.
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette.
Oh my God,
no.
Alanis.
I'm
Adonis
curious how
Illusion.
this goes.
And you popped up on one of the feeds, and I was like, "Oh, look at her, ball of energy." And then you were doing a lot of virtual shows, and that's like how I started following you. And I was like, "Oh, look at her." And then I saw you at Stunts, and I was
Yes.
like, "Oh my God, we got to get her on the show."
You're like, oh my God, I can touch her now. Like
I
she's
know.
not
I
on
was
a
like,
screen.
yeah, and it was so good. When we've talked about Stunts a lot on the show, if you guys
Yeah.
come to San Diego, Riches Sunday night 9 o'clock. Courtney and Keeks Rose says it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do an amazing job with that. And as an
Yeah.
older person, I love that it starts at 9. Most of it's done by 11, and I can go home and I don't know. Good night. Wake up fresh for work on Monday.
Tea, okay? Absolutely that part.
For sure. How did you get started in drag? Like, what was your first?
So for me, and I've talked about this a lot sometimes when I like do panels and things like
Yeah.
that. So when I first was like introduced to drag, I was very young, and my grandmother was watching it, and I think I was like playing around like in the background or whatever, and I had walked past and I'd seen she was watching this on TV, and I was like, oh, who are these loud, very happy people? It's a lot of colors, a lot of shiny things, and I didn't know what it was, but I was like, oh, these people feel like they're really free, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like on my own journey with like my sexuality and my gender identity and stuff like that. Like I didn't have the language for it, but I was like, ooh, I feel different. What is this about? And so then it was like years later that I was like, oh, that was called drag.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
I think it was maybe sometime in like middle school, I like watched Drag Race a little bit more.
What
I was
season?
sneaking it. Girl, my memory is trash. Okay, I will be the first one to tell you my memory is trash.
I'm
Okay,
the same way.
I'm like I will tell you the best that I can remember about things, but I will not be able to give you the full details. But I was watching it in like middle school, and like at that point, I was like, oh, like this is drag. These are like people that are playing around with like gender identity and like clothing, and like I was like, ooh, I'm having this affinity to this thing.
Yeah.
And then once high school came around, it was like our final, like maybe final 2 weeks, and I was in my AP Environmental Science class. And our teacher, who is this like 7-foot Irish man, no, Scottish man, was like, so I know you're a bunch of fucking smartasses because y'all took this class, but I would like to know who you are outside of like you can take good test.
Yeah.
And so he took those last 2 weeks and was like, so we're gonna do a little bit of like a show and tell. I want you to come in, give me a little bit about who you are, all those different kind of things. I was like, oh my God, this is my moment. This is my moment to be the girl. And so at the time, my grandmother had like taught me how to crochet, and me being the queer that I was,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, let me take this and like let me like push it. And so at that time, I had created like I think it was like 30 to 40 different like dresses that I had created crocheted. I was very poor, which is fine.
Yeah.
We've got
You
a little
do
bit
what
coin
you gotta
now.
do.
Yeah.
And so I went out and I modeled those dresses. And I did not tell the teacher. I was just like,
So
so
cool.
I'm gonna store some things in our storage closet, and I need you to trust me that my show and tell, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And so I started off with like a couple of bags. I was like, oh, it's a crocheted bag. What's inside? Oh my God, another crocheted bag inside of that. What's inside? Oh my God, another one. Oh my God, another one. I was like, let me just go over to this closet and let's see what's in it. Oh my God. And then I came out and like the full
Yeah.
drags. It was very rough. And I've scrubbed the
It was
internet of
very
all
rough.
fucking photos of that. 'Cause I'm like, I don't need that coming back on me. But that was like my first time ever like getting into the drags.
Yeah.
And As rough as it looked, I felt so free.
You got the bug. You got
Literally,
the bug.
I was like, oh my God, like I want to do this more often. So then when I graduated and went off to college and drag kept popping up of like small drag shows, and I was like, well, let me just go to this. And so I went to one by the Queer Student Union, which I also used to be their president of. And they were putting on this drag show, and I was like, oh my God, it's this drag thing popping up yet again. And these people are fucking iconic. I want to know more about it. So I went to their Pride Center that next day, found one of the queens that then became my drag mother, Lucilla Bruja. I love you, Mom. I made it, Mom. I found her, and I was like, oh my God, you were so amazing. Like, I want to know more. At that point, I then started working at the Pride Center. And then when she graduated, she like handed off the drag scene at SDSU to me. And here we are 8 years later, where I'm not only doing drags and like producing shows at SDSU, but now working with other universities, trying to also build their drag communities and stuff like that. So my journey in drag has been quite a whirlwind.
And it's still like, you're still going this way.
Oh,
all
fully,
the way up.
fully. Look, the day I wake up and I'm like, all right, it's going downhill. That will be the day we rebrand, okay?
How is your family with you doing drag? And are you close to your family?
So I am. It's definitely been a journey. My mother only in the last maybe year and a half has really been able to be involved in my drag and like go to my shows and like support and stuff like that. Because for a lot of years I had to hide it from her. So for the girls who have worked with me, y'all remember those years. Because those are the years where like I would go to the gig, but I'd come with like 40 bags because I was like, one, I had to have the clothes for the gig, but also the clothes for me to change out of. And I would immediately be getting out of drag the moment that the show was over. You could catch me at bus stops getting out of drag. You could catch me behind the fucking venue at a fucking bush somewhere, like anywhere that I could get out of the drags before I got home, because I had to pretend like, oh, it's just another day. Like, oh, it was just a late day at school. We had a test. She's like, oh, okay. And then I'd store all my bags in like our backyard and then come get them in the morning when she went to work. Yeah. So I did that for a lot of years. And then in the midst of COVID, I was prepping for a digital number, and she walked in the house, and I had drag all over the house. I was half naked. I had part of my face on and nothing but like my little tucking panty. And she walks in, and I just hear, what the fuck is all of this?
Oh my God.
And I'm standing in my room, and I'm like, oh my God. My heart just fell out of my ass when I was like, oh my God.
That's gotta be like
I'm
scary.
exposed. Like, what the fuck can I do now? I was like, do I die? Do I kill myself? Do I run? What do I do? Like, how do I can I just fade into the background of the walls? Yeah. And I was like, no, I have to go and I have to go and confront this. So I go out and I tell her, and I'm like, yeah, so remember that drag thing that you told me to stop doing like so many years ago? I kind of never stopped. And then we had a big fight. But through it, we had a lot of hard conversations. And she was like, you know what? If this is where your life is, I recognize that for a lot of folks and a lot of parents, like this could be that road of like, I either never see you again, or I decide to fucking bear and grit it and like learn to love my child and learn more about you and become part of your life. And so that's the choice that she made.
Good for your mom.
And so now we're so much closer.
Because there are some kids out there, some even adults my age, who still haven't spoken to their parents since they came out. So I've told the story in here. I'm so lucky my mom's okay with everything. It took her forever, but you know what I mean? That's really, really, really cool. And okay, how would you describe your drag?
Like in one word, or
no? How would you describe your drag too?
As many words
as you want to use. Yes. How do you describe Amber St. James to
here's
the
what
world?
If I was doing an elevator pitch, the branding is Amber St. James, the African bearded activist queen of San Diego.
I love it.
I'm like, then that's more so just
what made you decide to do a bearded queen?
Well, that's yet another story. So when I started out doing drag, again, as I had explained, like my mother didn't really know about it, so I couldn't be like shaving my beard like every couple of weeks. Or else then she'd be like, why are you shaving your beard? You've never done this. Like this is really weird. Like it would bring up questions that I was like, I don't feel like I want to answer those things right now. And so I had to kind of just integrate my beard into my drag. But like the first few years of me doing drag, I was like trying to hide the beard. So like I'd try to put makeup over it, or I'd like go get or I'd try to make sure that like I was getting a haircut that week. So that way it's like, oh, I'm just like nice and clean shaven, and oh my God, I just also happened to have a gig that week. Work. I love how this worked out, right? But then I was like, this is too much. Like at the point in time, I did not know how to do my own makeup, so had a lot of white people doing my face, and I was looking real white. And then eventually she got some skills. She learned how to do her own face, and now we know how to be Black.
But you have a distinct makeup style, and I love it because it looks very tribal, and nobody else is doing it in San Diego or anywhere out I've seen.
That's
You
true.
your makeup style and your drag style down to the wigs and the outfits that you make most of them yourself, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
It's very, very like, oh, that's Amber St. James. Do you know what I mean?
It's consistent branding.
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go with the tribal type makeup? And
So
influence?
I decided to go with these kind of influences because while I was taking a lot of college courses, I was taking a lot of ethnic studies courses and
Yeah.
Africana studies, which is what I did get my bachelor's in. Well, I technically got it in 3 different departments, so I kind of have 3 different degrees. But
Look at you.
Africana studies was
Oh,
like
yeah.
the main one.
Her TED Talk will be
Look, it will be coming very soon. And so while I was being like influenced by that and also being around a lot more queer folks and trans folks and like really being able to like learn about myself by learning about other
Yeah.
people, I was like, oh, I want to marry this into my drag. Like, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
And so I stopped being just a Beyonce queen, which is no offense to the girls who love
Yeah.
Beyonce. But I was a lost girl. And I was like, well, I love Beyonce. Let's just do that. That works. Yay. And then I learned more about myself. So I was like, oh, okay, Miss Mama, we can sprinkle in the Beyonce, but let's do some real shit here, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to integrate more African inspired like makeup and wanting to do tribal. Obviously because, well, not obviously, because the African identity is of the diaspora, so there's multiple ways
Yeah.
to be black. But because my ancestors, I don't have that connection to like
Yeah.
what tribes I actually come from. So I was like, oh, let's do tribal, so that way I'm paying homage to the motherland, right? Obviously without culturally appropriating from like actual African like sacred tribal prints and stuff like that. And then with like my clothing and things like that, like I wanted to make a statement because again,
Like today's piece. Describe it for a podcast audience.
so
The look today, which is
the
one of my favorite looks that you did.
Yeah.
Because it's part of your drag, which is one thing that I noticed with you is as a drag queen, there's always a bit of activism and education, even in the styling of your drag.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
this outfit is like perfect representation of that. So
Yeah.
describe the look for the audience. at
Oh,
home.
absolutely. So I am wearing. So I ordered this white dress on Amazon.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, well, we want nice form, nice body, yada yada. And what I did is I decided to design it on the front to say Black Lives We Matter, and then on the back to do Black and Proud with rainbow colors because of wanting to integrate like my blackness and my queerness. Because so often in a lot of spaces,
And then
Black
the
queer folks, we always have to kind of choose what communities that we're a part of. And then on the sides, I wanted to pay homage to all of the trans folks who's come before me and all of the ones that we've unfortunately lost due to violence. And then on the back of the sleeves is this is for all the names that we'll never know, right? Because what I did was I wrote all the way, I think from 2013 or 2014, like when we started collecting data
Yeah.
on trans folks, all the way up until like the last year that I'd had it, which I think was like 2018 when I like created. No. Because I created this, what was it, like last year, I think.
Yeah.
But I went all the way up until 2018 because I think that was where the data had kind of stopped. Because again, like I wanted to make a statement because a lot of where my drag started was in the college area and it was surrounded around a lot of white people. So I was like, oh, this is kind of influencing why I want to make a statement with my drag because I'm like, this may be the only time that these white folks are getting to actually experience a Black person or learn that people's lives are different.
Yeah.
Racism is a thing.
It
Yeah.
is, and people forget.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh my God, but like Obama. What do you mean? I'm like, Mama, spend a life in my day and I will tell you racism still does
Yeah.
exist.
You know what always got me is there's been certain people, I'm not going to name names, but because I am Latino, they lump it in with, same as Buck. And I'm like, no, the
It's like,
Latino culture,
no.
Mexican culture is completely different. You
Yeah.
can't. And even within the Hispanic culture, you can't let Puerto Rican in with
No.
Latinos or even people from El Salvador. Like if you say, oh, you're Mexican, they're like, oh, no, it's completely different. But it's the same thing. Like people just, oh, you look a certain way, I'm going to put you in this box.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I've had that happen sometimes where I've learned that I think because a lot of girls who may not necessarily know me on a personal level, but they do see a lot of the activism, I think sometimes that may scare them off. In terms of because like for a lot of crowds, they're like, I don't know if I'm necessarily trying to take a stand right now. I just need to do a 3-minute high energy number. And I'm like, well, girl, just hit me up, and I know how to. She's versatile.
I know how to perform.
Okay. I'm like, if you check the Instagram, she was turning it during the pandemic in her little hallway. I was
That
making
is
it work.
true. That is true.
Okay. But I think what I do love about my drag is that it causes conversation. It makes people like really think and be like, oh my god, like you can do this with drag, right?
Yeah.
And
it's even without you even saying anything, just your presence and your look is starting a conversation, which I think is amazing, and there needs to be more of it.
Yeah, it's
that
important.
is the whole purpose of art, whether it's performance art, whether it is visual art, whether any form of art is to comment on what's happening in society.
Yeah.
And I think the way you present your drag is exactly that.
Yeah, I love that it's provocative in a different route, which is great, and not one that we really have in San Diego. So I love that you're
to be honest,
carving your own way for that.
Hitting this goddamn mic.
Okay, now I want to know what an Amber St. James show looks like. Let's say you have no budget. It's money, like money is not an option.
Oh, okay. I was like, I have no budget. Okay.
No,
I very different show.
No. Money is like you
no
can
object,
spend whatever. Yeah, spend whatever you want. What would an Amber St. James show look like?
Ooh. See, so here's why this is such a hard question for me. Because
I love asking this to the queens because everybody goes, "You mean there's no limits? No limits. What would your show look like?"
See, now for me, why this is hard is because like I am both a performer but also like a show producer.
Yeah.
Because I do run my production company, Sisters of St. James Productions, with my drag sister Lux the Drag Queen. And so I'm like, okay, so as a performer, what does that show look like? But also as a producer, what does that show look like?
Let's do both.
Okay, so as a performer,
because you know how to put on a show because it's not just going up. I know this from years doing theater. There's so much work that goes into putting up a fucking production.
People are like, oh, so you just like send in the music and then the girls go dance around. Hell the fuck no. There's a lot more work than that. Okay,
it's a lot. That's why I stopped doing it. I was like, I'm burned out. I can't do this. It's too much. So how? Okay, performance-wise and as a producer, what does an Amber St. James show look like?
For me, performance-wise, I would love to do something that's just like 50 fucking people, like a full flash mob, like choreographed situation. Like I want pyrotechnics. I want full moving graphics. I want like honestly, I would love for because if you've ever seen me perform, like I will have monologues and stuff that I do. Yeah. I would love if we had like a live like person there that's like giving that monologue in person, right? Just to start the whole situation. Like if I could, like if I had like Amanda Gorman, like come out, start the entire thing, have a choir come out after, do a full situation, and then I come out in this giant fucking like garment where I'm like ascending from the fucking sky down. Like that would be absolutely everything. Yeah. Now it's very hard to find a venue where I can do that. So that's why I'm like, so as a performer, that's what I would like. But as a producer, I'm like, oh, I just want money. I just want all the monies in the world. So that way I can produce the best show that I ever can, where we're being able to like have 50 to like 100 performers, like do a full fucking drag festival, right? Yeah. I know like Austin does an international drag festival. Like I would love for us to do something like that in San Diego, where we're being able to not only spotlight a lot of the amazing performers that we have here.
And there is a lot in San Diego. We get looked over a lot.
That part. Do
you know what I mean?
That's part of the reason why I do what I do and why I try to do it so well. I'm like, can we get some kind of spotlight over in San Diego?
Yeah, because there is so much drag talent here in our city. But it's like we're like the redheaded stepchild to LA. You know what in New York?
That part. Okay,
but in a way, it's kind of like, oh, we're like a little underground. You know what I mean?
The little engine that could, the little wig that could. Okay, very that.
What were some of your early influences when it comes to drag and your art?
Ooh, so for me, I think a lot of my early influences, like specifically talking like drag, it was definitely like Bob the Drag Queen, the Vixen. Like I think we can all see where the Vixen inspiration comes in. Yeah. Like Monet Exchange. Honestly, like when I really like think about it, it's a lot of the Black queens that were so brave enough to like be their full authentic Black selves on national television, knowing that it was going to come with like racial intentions, it was going to have a lot of like racist backlash, that they were not going to be presented in the same way that a lot of the white queens were. Like I look up to them all the time because I'm like, that is brave. Like that is that's what it's like to be a Black performer in an industry that is predominantly white. And I'm like, for you to go out there and show the world, like, this is what the fuck we go through, and to still do it because you know that queens like me are the ones that are being inspired, like, that's fucking amazing.
And do it with a sense of humor.
Yeah. That part.
You know what I mean? So I think, like, especially the perfect example to me of that is Bob the Drag Queen. Yes. And Bianca Del Rio was, like, the first, like, Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? To it, and they did it with humor. Yeah. And it was so that it made it more appealing to, let's say, middle America.
It disarmed them. Yeah. Which I honestly, like, as a queen of color, and also as a queen who's like, my drag mother was very camp. So like when I perform, that's why like certain facial expressions, I'll decide to not go super fierce and just like, yeah, right? Because I'm like, oh, I understand that humor also, it invites people to be disarmed and invites them in to the conversation, invites them into the performance. And I'm like, for me, as someone who's doing something so political, I'm like, I want to make sure that they're already on my side, because it could be very jarring for white people that are not necessarily prepared to have that conversation of like, maybe I am racist and I just didn't know it.
Yeah. Because even with the Black Lives Matter movement that happened, it's still so much work to be done in this country. But you do it with your drag. But for as far as your activism side, and you educate too by part of doing SDSU, how do you mainly blend that together with your drag and other art forms that you do?
So I think for me, the ways in which I've been able to do that is definitely the ways in which I've been able to bring drag into higher academia, right? So whether they're booking me to like come do a number, and like the number is very political, and then they're like, actually, we want to have you come back and actually do a TED Talk, right? So that's like the panel side of a lot of things that I was speaking on, of like, not only do I do a kick-ass performance, if I do say so myself, the Energizer Bunny, but I also like, I do that actual educational work of like going out there and training people. I also worked in the San Diego State University Pride Center, and their Black Resource Center, which I actually helped in the creation of like bringing them onto campus and stuff like that. And I worked for a lot of years like creating trainings that we now utilize and give. Now that I work at San Diego Pride, like again, like doing that educational work, because if you didn't know, Pride does do more than just the big festival and the parade.
Yes,
we do 365 days worth of programming, okay? Like trying to do that educational work, trying to do like that police reform and stuff like that. So like in all of the facets of who I am, I bring that into my drag, because I'm like, this is my survival. Like by doing this is me creating the better world that I can actually exist in, because the one that I currently live in was not created for me. So I'm like, this is not going to work.
It wasn't. No, you're absolutely right. I had another question for you. Now I hate when my brain does. Oh, what do you think of the drag scene in San Diego? Who are some of your favorites, and who are like some of the newbies coming up we should keep an eye on?
Ooh, so you're trying to get me caught up. Work. She said, so I'm trying to get you having DMs later like, girl, so why didn't you say my name? No.
We're not. Oh, wait till we get to that part of the show.
Woo, scandal. No. So honestly, and this is not me like having a pageant answer, but like all of the girls that I've been able to work with, they're all so amazing. Like they welcomed me with open arms as a newbie queen that was like coming from the college scene. And that has made all the difference, and like me being able to bring in more of performers that we work with at SDSU, right? Which, as I said, our little factory, like now you see a lot of these girls are like popping up in the scene. So like Melanie Blue, who like came from working with us, Satana, who came from working with us, Luna Deathwish, who came from like working with us, and more Envy, who's just right now getting into the game, Lady Blanca, Lux the Drag Queen, like all these queens that were coming from San Diego State, or that we were working with, and like bringing them in from all these other places.
Into the community.
Yeah, and so that's what I love, is that like all of these established queens were so open, and so like they were welcoming with such open arms of like allowing our performers to be in their shows, or working with us, or even like coming up to get that little coin and do these little college gigs. So then that way, like we're also being able to introduce our crowds to them of like, hey, if you want to like go and see drag, like also go and support local drag, which again, is why it's part of why I do what I do, which is why when we did like San Diego Drag Excellence that we did like during the pandemic with like, I think it was like 40 plus drag performers here in San Diego, before that, I think we had released a video that was like about supporting local drag, because we're like, that is at the heart of what we want to do, is supporting local drag. Like it's very hard because of RuPaul's Drag. Like we love that it's made it mainstream, but it's also made it like really hard to actually support local artists, because everyone's like, oh, so when are you gonna come up with like, your $5,000 gown? Like, why didn't you do a split? Like, why didn't you jump off the building? Which I mean, yes, I do that. But, you know, everybody can't be me.
How did you start your house?
So I started so this is actually a really funny story. So,
well, two-part question.
Okay.
For people who don't know what the whole house culture is, how would you explain that to a newbie? Because, you know, like Legendary started on HBO.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Paris is Burning and especially The Queen. Remember the documentary, The Queen? Did you see that?
it was so good.
It was so good. But that's how I remember way back in the day when I learned about, there's different houses in that term, but there's a lot of people that don't know. So how would you describe that and talk about your house and who's part of it?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
how you started that.
Okay, work. so this is a three-parter. We love this.
I gave you a lot.
You said we do an SAT. This is the three-part question at the end. Short answer. Fabulous. So for people who don't know, whether you're queer or you're straight, I'm going to make it easy for everybody to understand. So a house is almost like a dance crew, if you will, because I think everybody understands what a dance crew is. It's a group of people that have a singular purpose.
And if you're not a dancer, it's like a theater troupe.
Yeah, and
like
if it's not that, it's almost like an orgy, except there's like no sex
there you
involved. I don't know. That's dependent on your family. I don't know.
Maybe there is, yeah.
Like I said, that's dependent on the family. But for what a house is in a more like actual academic term, houses were created as these safe spaces for queer folks because obviously the structures that were created were not created for us in mind, and so we were feeling thrown out not only by our families but by the systems, by the educational system, by the banking systems, like all of these systems that were pushing us out of the public eye and out of even being able to exist in the public, right? And so we had to create our own spaces, and so we created our own families, and then called them houses as like, the house that you live in. So for me and my house, the House of St. James, which actually, because I just want to make this corrected, because a lot of girls or a lot of folks don't actually know, we have a really big house. There's like 16 of us in my family. We're just not all in the same state, and we're not all currently active performers.
Gotcha.
Because I think I was talking to somebody recently, and I was like, oh no, there's like 16 of us, and they were like, what the what? Like, I thought it was like you and like maybe 2 other girls. I was like, that's what y'all see.
If you go on the Insta page, the very first post, there's a ton of them because there's a lot.
Yes. If you follow our House of St. James Instagram page, which you can also find on my own Instagram page, because consistent branding. It has on there all of our family members. Although it's currently up to date, we do have one new family member that will be added, but I'm not at liberty to share that because I'm letting the folks who are in that relationship be the ones that are doing that, because I'm like, I am the overall mother, but I'm trying not to overstep.
Yeah.
Respecting the family relations. So how it started was my drag mother. So my drag mother learned that she was my drag mother because I was like, you know what? I love you, and you introduced me into drag, and I see you as my drag mother. She's like, oh, work. This is news to me. And I was like, well, would you like officially take it? And she was like, yeah. And so she became my drag mother, Lucy La Bruja. And then I started having drag children, and I created the House of St. James. So it was created with me, and my drag mother then got added in as like the mother situation, right? So it's not the typical where it's like, oh, you have the drag mother who started the entire house. It's like, no, I started the house, and then I have my drag mother. So there's the father of the house, which is Father St. James, who is not a current performer, but they're like a really amazing support, like with all the shows that we produce, just in the family, always keeping us calm, because if you know me, I am always 2 seconds away from spiraling out about something. So they're always amazing. If you've ever met them at any of the shows, they go by Lauren. So if you've ever met Lauren, that's who that is. Then we have my drag mother, Lucy La Bruja. Then we have my children. Oh my God, I have so many fucking kids. Camilla Everglades St. James, who is my second born. My firstborn is Zara Centauri, who currently lives in, I think, Kansas right now. Camilla just moved back. She now lives in San Diego, which is absolutely amazing because I fucking miss her. She lived in fucking Arizona for all.
What part?
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter.
I was like, it was in the middle of the desert. It was hot. It was terrible. Okay?
Arizona's all the same.
Okay, it's hot and gross. Then we have my next born, which was Imani Zella, who is actually been casted in a couple of our Black Girl Magic shows. So if you've ever seen them, there you go, House of St. James. And then we have the baby of my specific line of the family, who, which is Ethnic Cezanne, who is, oh my God, so fucking They inspired me so much, like, as a native, like, First Peoples. Because a lot of the work that they were doing at SDSU was in that activist realm of, like, trying to change the mascot, like, really calling the university on the fact that they still call themselves Aztecs, which is a problem. I know I love y'all and I work with y'all at SDSU, but that's clearly a problem. We need to fix that. So, like, that's a lot of work that they do. Then we have my sisters. So my drag sisters, Lux the drag queen, who I'm sure you all know or you've seen. We have Baby Blue, who was the original first sister. And then we have Brenda Joy, who was our other sister. Me and Lux and Brenda, we run the production company side of like the House of St. James, because a lot of people will mix the house and then the production company, because they're all consistent branding. Yeah. Again, Mama, she's a businesswoman. If you learn anything, what today's word is brought to you by consistent branding. So me, Brenda, and Lux, we run the production company, Sisters of St. James Productions. Then from my children, they have children.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, like I told you, it's a big fucking family.
So I have a question. That part. How did your body bounce back from all those births?
Well,
I mean, look at you for giving birth.
You've seen me perform. You know what it is. It's like a fucking Zumba class, girl.
True. Very, very true.
They don't call me the Energizer Bunny for nothing. Yeah. So we have like my children who have children, and then I think that's the end of that line.
Yeah.
And then the only sister that, well, I can't release that yet, but one of my sisters does have a child, and they will be releasing that fairly soon, and we're very, very happy about them joining the family, because not only do we like love
family.
them. Okay, that part. That's why I'm like
my
when the
family
girls
back
are like,
home.
oh yeah, like the House of St. James is like 3 of y'all, right? I was like, yeah, there's 3 of y'all that y'all see all the time, primarily. But it's so beautiful the way that we've been able to create our family, because I think, and this is something that again we try to do in the community building aspect of what we do in our family, and just who we are as drag performers, is we didn't want it to be like a clout thing. Like it was like, you're not gonna join the family just because you want the St. James name or you want to be attached to me as the overall mother, right? It was like, no, like all of them, because we kind of have rules in the family of how this operates. It has to be like a friendship or relationship that is created before they're even thought of to be voted into the house. So then that way there's a real connection there. So that way it's not like, oh, they're joined and like they don't know anybody. It's like, no, if you're joining, that means for at least about a year, like you have been connected to the family, or we've been able to actually like get to know you, and we can also be able to greater assess of like, how can we help you? Because we don't want to be like, oh, you joined, then you got nothing from it. It's like, no, this should be a mutually beneficial relationship. So like all of our family members, they join because not only do we have like the same like vibe in terms of like our activism, what we stand for, but in terms of like our creativity, like the amount of work that we put into our drag, in terms of like what we stand for, who we are. So yeah.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, that's smart though. Yeah,
I love that San Diego, there are like houses. Like you have House of Glam, Kixie has her house, you have yours, Strawberry. You know what I mean? I love that's happening in San Diego.
Honestly, it's so amazing.
So
it's like, oh my god, like we're like those big scenes where it's like 50,
I know, but I
houses.
feel like that we're like kind of underground. You know what I mean?
We're still the cool kids.
Yeah, we're the cool kids. But you guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna play a couple fun games with them. I can't wait for that. But we'll be right back, you guys.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Give the show a 5-star rating cause these narcissistic assholes need it. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and thanks for listening.
Hey everybody, we are back from break. Empty bladders, at least for me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna have an empty bladder
like,
like 3 days from now, because Mama, the tuck is tight.
Are you ready to have some fun, Miss Amber St. James?
I'm always ready for some fun. Let's do it.
So this is a thing we have not done on the show in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I think the last time we did this segment was with Kixie Vixen Styles when she came on.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how long. That was
long
season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
I know.
Y'all said we throwing it back today.
We are going to do a game, Fuck, Marry, Kill. But I don't like kill. So instead of kill, it's fuck, marry, lock in a porta potty for 8 hours at Coachella.
Oh wow! So it's worse. It's worse than kill.
I'd rather get killed
okay.
than do
So
that.
I'm gonna pick some of your sisters, and you have to fuck, marry, lock in a porta potty at Coachella.
Okay, fair. Totally said we gonna get the girl in trouble tonight. All right.
Okay. Well, first one.
Okay.
Amore Envy.
Ooh.
Kevy Kev and
okay.
Shania Satisfaction. These are all local queens, by the way, that you have worked with, and some are part of your house. So who would you fuck? Who would you marry? And who would you lock in a porta potty at Coachella?
Okay, and the options are Amore Envy,
Kevy Kev,
and Shania
Satisfaction.
Ooh. Honestly, ooh.
I know.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with who I'd lock in the porta potty.
Countdown.
This is not shady. This is mostly because I would love to see like this bitch just go off in a porta potty because I know she don't have a potty mouth. I would love to lock Kev in a porta potty.
Okay.
Could you imagine like her just going off in a porta potty, just like this
trapped
motherfucking
for 8 hours in the heat in a used porta potty at the end of.
Girl, and then give her a mic, throw her on stage, bitch. Best show in the
Wow.
world.
Look at you, producer brain.
Look.
She's like, I know the content that's gonna work.
Oh, okay. And then what are the other? Oh,
Mary
and
fuck.
Mary and fuck.
So Shania Satisfaction and Amora Envy. Which one would you marry and which one would you fuck?
So we don't really believe in incest in this family, but I would have to fuck Amora. Have you seen her?
Yes.
Girl, that body, she just be throwing the pussy around. Okay, this is for you, Amor. It's giving cunt, diva. It's giving cunt. And then I would definitely marry Shania. Like, she is such a sweetheart. Like, I feel like she would be the kind of girl, like, I'd come home from a gig and she'd be like, the bath is already ready for you.
Aww.
The Epsom salt is already in there. Put your feet up. Let me give you a full massage.
Oh, I love that. Okay, ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Adonis Illusion.
A word.
Strawberry corn cakes.
A word.
And Lux the drag queen.
Oh, fuck me. Word.
Wow.
Ooh, okay.
Who would you fuck? Who would you marry? Who would you lock in a porta potty at Coachella?
Okay, first of all, I think I'd marry Lux for the logistics of that means that we can then put our finances together, which
Look
would
at
be
her.
very, very helpful
Yeah.
for the production company and all the things that we do. Again, mama, always on that business.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'd probably lock Adonis in the porta potty because I feel like she'd come out with a look. She'd be like,
she
mama,
would.
I'd turn this porta potty the fuck out, right? Honestly.
She'd have stories even though she was
Also,
Girl,
a
okay.
great show afterwards.
Oh,
too. Yeah.
fully.
Same thing.
Look, producer mind is always on. And then
fuck
I
Strawberry.
would totally fuck Strawberry. Miss Mama, that's the girl who she know how to fuck.
Listen to her episode.
That part.
All right, next one. This one, let's do Miriam T.
Okay.
Oh.
Kixie Vixen Styles.
Okay.
And Grotesca, who have all been guests on the show. So-
See, I feel this one's too easy because I
It
feel like
is.
I feel like Grotesca would want to be in the porta potty. She
Oh
would
yeah,
choose
she'd
to
be
be in the
like,
porta potty.
I volunteer as tribute.
That fucking part. And then, I think. Oh, this is a good one. I think I would want to fuck Miriam just to say that I did.
Oh, why would you want to do that?
Because it would be something nobody would expect.
I know they'd be like, oh no, you would get the
press.
I'm so sorry.
Then I could go on an
She's gonna
apology
kill me
tour.
for-
I could
she's
go on a
gonna
full
kill
apology
you.
tour and be like, oh my God, I've been wronged. Oh my God. Oh my God, it was so terrible. Oh my God. Oprah, oh my God, is there something under my chair to help me solve? Oh my God. And then I think I would marry Kixie because, I mean, come on, that would just be a powerhouse.
That would
Yeah.
be, you're right. Absolutely. Okay, let's do Father St. James,
Okay.
your drag mother,
Okay.
which is
Lucy La Bruja.
Yeah. And let's see. Ooh, maybe Coco Chanel. I can't remember her name. I just lost it. Coco
Chanel.
Chanel.
Yeah. Okay, I was
Okay.
like, are we talking about somebody else?
I
You
know.
said the name, and then you went back.
But then I was thinking, did I get it right? No, Coco Chanel. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
She's legendary in San Diego. If you have not seen Coco Chanel perform, she turns it. I love
fully.
watching
If you've not seen her, you haven't seen drag.
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
part.
Father St. James,
Uh-huh.
your drag mother, Bruja.
Mhm.
What's her first name?
Lucy La Bruja.
I want to call her Lily for some reason.
I don't know why you want to make her a
I
white
don't
woman.
know.
Yeah,
She is a proud Filipinx woman, and you want to make her white? What is this?
Okay, and Coco Chanel. Who would you do?
Ooh, okay. So I would honestly just like marry Father St. James, because I'm like they're with me at most of my gigs anyway. So I'm like we're pretty much a married couple.
Yeah.
And we also don't have sex, so we really are a married couple.
Wow.
Ooh, I think. Ooh, I cannot see me fucking my mother. That's just the line I'm not willing to cross. I can't do it.
Fair.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
so I think I'm gonna have to fuck Coco Chanel, which I'm not mad about that one. I'm really not mad about that.
Do you have any?
Of what?
Any?
Like, do you have any queens that you'd like to just stick in a porta potty?
Yeah.
This is a full tangent side note. You don't have to marry anybody or fucking. I just want to. Who you want to stick in a porta potty?
From last night.
Oh my god! I live.
You're at Riches.
You said so. If you could just take Riches and just stick it in a porta potty.
How about Razzle Dazzle kick Keeks Rose,
again.
Keeks Rose,
Yes.
and Michelada.
Oh,
That's a good one.
I would stick Michelada in the porta potty.
Would it? You know what? No, she'd walk in and go home.
She'll be like, oh, so I did some interior designing. You know, we have a carpet over here. We have a tiny, like, little couch over here. So I'd stick her in the porta potty. I think I would marry Razzle because, like, mama, then I could get those garments for free. And then who wouldn't want to fuck Keeks?
Yeah, Keeks beautiful.
Like, I fuck her. I'd body fuck. I'd do all her. I'd do some nasty things to that woman.
The makeup on her,
it's painted. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Flawless.
So good. So good. I love that. I love that we did that. Okay, we're gonna do another one we haven't done in a while. Where's my sound? Where's the music? Remember we used to do this?
Getting to know you.
Ooh, let's get to
Yeah.
know me.
Getting to know you.
I love this song. It's so
Getting
gay.
to
I know. From King and I. Anyways, we're going to do Getting to Know You. This is a segment where I'm going to poke some random questions from Miss St. James.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to answer.
Okay.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
Let's
And
do
I
it
have no
then.
idea.
We
if
don't
these
even
are
know
gonna
what
be
they are.
good
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
or
Christ.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Let's hope I don't get sued.
Who are your heroes in real life?
Oh, as opposed to fake life?
I know, good. Like,
Yeah. Who wrote that?
who wrote that? Who
Fired.
wrote that?
I would say my heroes in real life, I mean, even though they're not with us anymore, I think I take large amounts of inspiration from Marsha P. Johnson. And definitely like all the queer ancestors who've come before me, because I'm like, I could not be where I am or sit where I am if it had not been for them.
Yeah.
But if we're also talking in a more tangible sense, I think definitely one of my heroes is Strawberry Corn Cakes. Adonis Illusions, you know, Coco Chanel, like all of the amazing like Black excellence that is in our scene, because they made me feel comfortable to be me and as authentically me as I am, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be black, and I do mean blackity black. So I hope the people's is ready. And like those girls, like all of the amazing Black queens in this scene, like they made me feel comfortable to push myself to do this.
I love that. Okay, since you're an academic, this is gonna be a good one for you. What book belongs on everyone's bookshelf that they must read? I know. You know what I'm reading right now?
What are you reading?
A Stephen King book
Oh,
called Sal. So far, it's good. I
Yeah.
just haven't read Stephen King in a long time, but I did pick up graphic novels because I've been really into those lately.
I think they just call that porn now.
Yeah.
Old man porn, I guess.
I didn't know you were into those.
Yeah, I love those.
Interesting.
I have to say, Jay, what book should everybody have on their
Because there are
bookshelf?
so many that come to mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think a book that would be really helpful for a lot of people to understand a lot of the nuance of like being a person of color and also how the systems of oppression operate within each other is the new Jim Crow.
Okay.
I think people need to read that because
Okay.
it really dives into like how a lot of the power structures and like the policies and laws and things that we have are really just extensions of Jim Crow like law era, you know, policies and systems that were put into place and stuff like that. And so I think a lot of people should read that.
Didn't he have a podcast about? I want to say my brother talked about it. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. Anyways, next question.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing you bought last year?
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
What
that's
did
a good
what
one.
the fuck did I even buy last year? What is last year?
I know, really.
So we're talking 2021. Okay, so it was still pandemic. No.
Yeah, kind
Yes?
of.
Yeah, kind of. Last year,
the first
2021.
beginning, yeah.
What was your favorite thing you bought?
Honestly, okay. So my favorite thing that I bought, it was this fabulous red and yellow gown that I think a few people have already seen.
Yeah.
It's like African print. It is like full head to toe. Gives the full like peplum sleeve situation. I wear it for a lot of like fancy situations and things like that. Because I had bought it from a actual African designer.
Yeah.
And I just love it because it's so gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And it's like it's in line with me pushing to like integrate more of like my blackness into my drag, so that way it's like, oh, when I go and do that highbrow, paying me thousands of dollars to be here situation, that I can be like, yes, I am black. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I want to pull up some of your looks.
Ooh.
For our audience.
Yeah.
And talk about them because
Ooh, yes.
there are a few that I actually really love besides the one you're wearing. So this one I know you made, and I watched the video where you made it. I love it. It's kind of Club Kitty,
Yeah.
but you still have the Amber St. James aesthetic. But how do you come up with this stuff?
So honestly, so when I come up with
love
the
this
outfits
one.
themselves,
Yeah.
if I'm coming with the
I
outfit
love
for
that
a
one.
show,
Mhm.
then I'll usually take inspiration from whatever that theme is, because all of our such as St. James production shows are always like themed. So for instance, for that look, because the show we were doing, which was Greed, which was more of us making a political statement on like the greed of, you know, politicians, the greed of, you know, government and stuff like that. I wanted to do something that was like taking greed but making her like a bad bitch.
Yeah.
Because in my number that I did, the reveal was the fact that like the bad bitch was capitalism, and she's here to kill, she's here to steal. Like she is a bad bitch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do like bad bitch, but do it like the bad bitch from the block. Like if
Yes.
capitalism was like fierce, but like she's also like
I know.
she's
I
your
love
homie.
that one. I love that one. Oh, and this one. This is one of your newer ones that I saw on. Where's the front one? By the way, everybody, if you are watching us on YouTube or out at TV, you will be seeing all these looks. If you're not, go subscribe to the channel and you will see all of Amber's looks. But if you're only listening to us on the podcast, you can go follow Amber on Instagram at
MXST James, or just search Amber.
There
James.
you go. And now all this look. I see
Oh,
the hair.
yeah.
The hair was what I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Matches,
So
yeah,
beautiful.
That is actually,
Oh,
that's a
I love
custom
that.
wig that I had created for me, that I think I purchased at like the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, so
But actually,
pretty.
and ironically, so the bottom part of this gown is a gown that I've had for like a lot of years. And then that top is actually a full bodysuit that Monet Exchange gave to me.
Oh, shut up, really?
Yeah, because we
So
had done a gig with
pretty.
her at SDSU,
love
and it was like the
that.
end of the gig. She was tired, I was tired. The zipper broke. She's like, "Girl, do you want this?" I was like, "Did you just ask me if I want
wanted
your
it? You're
like
like-
your gown?" Like, yes,
Yeah.
bitch, I want it. Of course, I want it.
And then your money outfit. I love
Oh
this.
yes, I love that outfit because on the back of it says "Demolish her, capitalism."
Yeah.
It's so fucking fierce. But I didn't even get
For
to
the
get, like,
Greed show,
photos.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
love it.
one, I
Love
like
that.
all of your. There's one in particular. Well, besides this one, because I love the mix of patterns. And as a past costume designer, I love that shit. Like, I love when a lot of your drag, because you do a lot of really bold
Yes.
patterns.
Yes.
And a lot of African themed, and I love it. The color,
Yeah.
and then your eye makeup is always bold, but you still keep that I'm just such a fan. I can't get over it.
Oh my god, thank you.
Because
I mean, a lot of
I
it's
think
because
I'm really like a big fan because I don't see anybody else in San Diego
Right.
doing it.
Mhm.
And to me, I love anything kind of weird, quirky, out of the box,
Mhm.
and that's the vibe you get.
That's what I
love it.
aspire to
love
do.
it.
Yeah.
And a lot of this because like in the African culture, like the patterns, when you look at them, they are always vibrant colors. So I'm like, oh, I want
Yeah.
that to carry into the eye makeup, you
Can
know.
we talk
And then
about this one?
oh yeah,
I love
oh
this look so much.
when I took
Wow.
photos,
It's
so
for our audience, it is this gorgeous black and white print, like different
Mhm.
patterned, very corseted with a long train and the hair.
yeah.
Oh, go and follow Amber St. James to look at these looks. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of them. This is one of my favorite ones.
Oh, honestly, this is like one of my new like go-to photos when like, people are like, "Oh yeah, like what photo do you want to use?" I'm like, "Well, one, I'll
I
send
know
you over
that's
the
the one
folder."
that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yes,
For the
please
show.
do, please do.
The silhouette on that
So
is
I
just
took that
great.
photo at
It's
the
so good.
coronation for the Imperial Court.
Yeah.
Because they just did like their 50th anniversary.
See,
And I
oh,
knew that I wanted to do like something black and white because like, oh, they're gonna expect me to do color, and
Yeah.
I want to do like a whole black and white situation. And I knew when I took those photos, I was like, oh, the girls are gonna
Yeah.
eat this up. Like
It's
this is
such a
iconic.
pretty gown. I love
Thank
that.
you. And
Yeah.
those are actually separate. It's like all
Yeah.
of those are separate pieces that I
Wow.
like stylized together.
Look at you.
Look, she loves to be a designer, a stylist. She does it all.
It does it all. Okay, ready for the next question?
Yes.
What is your favorite part of your body that you love? Your favorite
Ooh,
body part?
Honestly, I think it's my legs. I've really fallen in love with my legs because they're so long.
You got long legs. You're like all legs.
I'm like a bucket of chicken. Long legs and I taste delicious. And if you're lucky enough to find out how I taste, then you get to be part of a very small circle.
What was your first screen name that you ever used? Do you remember?
Probably something that I shouldn't have been doing because I was young and doing grown folk shit.
Dude, it has 69 in it.
No, I was never that kind of girl. I was never that kind of girl, but I was very much like, oh, sweet and cute. Like, I wanted to keep it very innocent. Like, oh my God, come and corrupt me, please.
Lure them in.
This will be an interesting one. If you could undo one moment in your life, what would it be?
I don't think I'd have anything that I would ever want to undo. I'm like, because if I ever did undo anything, I wouldn't be who I am or where I am.
Yeah.
Right?
It would
then
all be
change.
different.
Yeah. Everything would be different. Let's do one last one. Let's see.
Make it good. Like, when was the last time you
Oh, God, this is a little morbid, but I'm going to ask it.
Okay, work.
How would you like to die?
Ooh. Okay, so I've thought about this a lot. Let me just
morbid, a
pull
lot
out my full, like, so here's a PowerPoint presentation.
It's a concern.
Honestly, I would love to die doing what I love.
You want doing a death drop?
I mean, to be entirely honest, I'm like, that's probably how I'm gonna
Off the
die.
side of a building.
Probably like me jumping off the side of a building, trying to be very much in my Fandy bag. Okay, everybody needs a hero in ours. She did a death drop and she died.
She died.
She died.
That would be hilarious.
I love
shouldn't
that.
laugh.
My
That's
death
horrible.
would be hilarious to you. Thank you. No, but that would be very hilarious because it'd be so ironic. You'd be like, of course this bitch died doing a fucking backflip, double split off the stage. Like, bitch, who did you think you were? I know you have a real job now and you have insurance, but let's not test it.
Yeah. Oh my God! See, we found out a little bit more about Miss Amber St. James. You know what last night was? The finale of. We have to talk about it. So season 14 wrapped up last night with the season finale, and there were 5
season of our lives.
The longest.
It was so
season.
long.
It was so.
But honestly, I didn't hate that it was so long because I feel like we really got to know the girls.
We did.
Yeah, a lot.
Versus like usually where they're like, okay, so we were going to film for 5 seconds and then we're going to air it for 10.
Even the ones who like get cut early, I feel like we still knew
got
those
to know
ones,
them.
which were nice.
But there were 5 finalists: Diabetti, Lady Camden,
Yes.
and Juria, who I adore and love.
Yes, and
Willow
Juria.
Pill, who I adore and love.
Yeah.
And who was the last one?
Bosco.
Bosco. Yes. I already I was like, my top 2 were Lady Camden and Willow Pill.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the ones I was rooting for because I think Angeria is already going to have a stellar career because of what she did on the show in her personality. I was like, oh, she don't need to win. She's
a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Mama. That check.
Her
that check is
and
ready.
Cornbread, both of them, I'm like, because there's certain queens, I think, on the show when they're on there, they use the time to really show their personality. They don't need to win the competition because they're going to have an amazing career.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And them two, for me, were those queens. I'm like, oh, they're fine. They're going to be fine.
Oh, Mama,
They're
and
gonna
that's
be
strategy too. Because you know, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, have you ever applied for Drag Race, or what would you do if I ever got on?" I was like, "Mom, if I ever gone on, first of all, if I gone on, that means there must have been another beauty queen before I fucking got there, because I can tell you, I'm probably not gonna be the first one." And I'm like, if I got on, I really don't think they're gonna let me win. So I'm gonna just make sure that everybody's laughing, we're having a good time, they remember who the fuck I am, and they like me on the other side of that camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's
And
smart.
Juria went in going, I'm gonna have a good time. And every time she was on camera, I was just like, oh, I just want to hang out with you.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
And that's how you really win the bigger game.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the same with Cornbread, who I knew she probably would have taken it home.
Oh, Mama,
if
they
she
were
did it.
shaking in their boots when
Oh,
she walked
yeah.
in. The moment she was
yeah.
like, so she's on the other side of the Zoom call and she's not coming back. Oh, fuck yeah, we got a chance.
There's
We got
a chance. Because you remember when we talked about when the season, Eric, first started, we were all like, Cornbread's going to do it.
Yeah.
She's going to take it.
And that look she wore last night was
The Beauty and the Beast.
insane.
It was so
Beauty and the
Wasn't it?
Beast combined into one look.
I was
so
like,
good.
wow. She really said versatility. She said, you know what? Y'all didn't get to see me on the show, but you will see I am a
so
verse.
good.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
The finale was meh.
I will tell you
Agreed.
this. I only got to watch half of it, and then I watched the inside of my eyelids. I got
You
home
know
at
what
4
I did?
a.m.
Did you watch
Fast forward?
Did you watch the first half? Because that was the boring half.
All I
Oh,
remember is
rough.
there were some bitches on a stage, and they walked out, and then some shit happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
So-
second half was
And
was
they
good.
it was a little different format. Instead of doing
Yeah.
the wheel where they have to compete
they
against
didn't do
each
a
other.
wheel?
no.
No, they had what is it, like pre-produced numbers that
Yeah.
with dancers and everything.
Yeah, they did. I think I maybe saw like 5 seconds of the first
Yeah.
one.
With
and
an
then I was
original
asleep.
song, which was different too. Like
Yeah.
somebody recorded it for them, but
it wasn't
was
them
about
singing it. Yeah.
them. It was weird.
Because I don't think they've done that since like Bob's year.
Yeah, Bob's year
Yeah.
was the last year they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Kimchi,
Bob
Bob
and
the Drake,
Naomi.
and Naomi. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it was that same kind of format, but with 5 queens, which was a lot.
Yeah, it was a
And then
lot.
they narrow, and then Rue picks the top 2 she liked, and then they
Yeah.
have to do a lip sync. So the
Oh,
top 2
word.
were Lady Camden and Willow Pill.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work. I gotta go watch this episode.
So then Willow Pills was hilarious. I
Yeah.
thought she's so weird and
She's
creative.
so
I love
weird.
it's
her.
that camp. Like when you know
Yeah.
how to like, and that's why I really I every queen who is watching, I suggest that you learn just a little bit of camp because it really helps like put that extra oomph into a performance.
Yeah.
Like even if you're a body queen, to have that one little stupid moment, the
Yeah.
audience just falls in love
Falls
with you.
in love.
Oh
with it.
yeah.
And Willow Pill does that. And Lady Camden is just, you can tell she is a dancer.
Yeah.
And she uses her body.
So polished.
Oh, I love.
just-
They both were great
Yeah.
in the lip sync, but I had a feeling Willow Pill was going to take it home,
I
which
did
she
too.
did. Spoiler alert. And it was good. I mean, it's just. There's we're on season 14. The
Yeah.
finale should do. I don't know. It was just like I just fast forwarded to find out who won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who knows? Maybe season 20 she'll change it up, and
Maybe.
RuPaul will actually be the one who does all the
I
lip
know.
syncing. And she'll do more than like 3 steps to that side, 3
Side.
steps to that side, and then spin in the middle.
Like she did when she came down. I was
Yeah.
like, is she gonna do a number? What's going
No,
on?
that
And she
was
did
the
like
number.
1, 2, 3. All right, let's start the show.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm like, Miss Mama, when you make that much money,
You
from
don't have
fracking,
to.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
But when you make that much money, I mean, I guess she
Yeah.
said, I don't got to move for shit.
Would
It's
you
my
do?
show."
Would you do RuPaul's Drag Race? Would you ever? Do you audition for it?
Yes. I've auditioned twice now, and
Okay.
well, we see what happened. But that's okay. I love that Simone won.
She was one of my favorites.
Oh, bitch, she
Yeah.
was everything.
She looked
That-
great
remember
last
that-
night too.
She did with
She
the
looked
denim.
amazing.
Bitch. I'm like, how
I
dare
still
you.
remember her looks from the season when she did the long do rag, and then
Yeah.
Yes.
some of the best looks.
And I can hear her say factory over and
Fuck
over again.
the rag.
Like, fuck, cha. The fat cha. Very that.
She was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
on the
she
show.
was great.
She's just
How,
such
what
an
do you
icon.
guys think of the next
All-Stars?
All-Stars winners season?
First of all, we get a week break.
Yeah, a
Is
week
that
break.
all we
and then-
get? Can we
Yes.
get a little more than a week?
Okay,
on,
see,
people.
here's my
Can I
thing,
get a
and this
vacation
may be
break?
my producer brain coming through. I'm like, I wonder if something changed in their contract, if they're just like, so we just need like 50 fucking
50.
shows from y'all, and so Rue's just like, okay, just toss them out.
Toss 'em,
I don't
toss
give a
'em,
shit
yeah.
when they air, just fucking
Do it.
film them, and we'll have them all batched and ready to release.
You know
Yeah.
what? Probably.
Yeah, no, it
yeah,
is.
because
It
they're
really
probably
is.
under contract with the VH1. They have to do a certain. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. You're right. Well, what do you think of the all winner season?
I cannot wait for Bob to dominate.
I'm so
know.
happy.
I'm like, Bob's not on this season, but
I
I know
know,
she gonna
I know,
dominate,
I know.
okay? She gonna be all over the Twitter.
I know.
all
Oh no,
the things.
because I follow and watch everything Bob does. She was like, I wasn't asked.
I'm like, that's interesting. Were you not asked because you were filming We're Here, or were you not asked because they're saving you for
For
a different
something
season? 'Cause I'm
else.
like, now that I could see. I could see them
Yeah.
being like, oh no, Bob is that's
Oh no, we have plans.
Do you know
we
who's
have plans.
another Miss Queen I thought would have been great is Shangela, because it's like it,
fuck yeah.
it would
But
have been like a
also-
juju bead like kind of
But
thing.
no,
Yeah.
it was only queens that won.
yeah.
Won the
Okay.
season.
Was it one or that placed in the top?
No.
That
one.
one.
They
That one.
won.
There's either
Okay.
their original season or that one at All Star.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because I think when I looked like who was in it, I think there's like 2 from every thing. So like
Yeah.
2 that are from like outside of the thing or whatever.
Right.
There's the Vivian and there was like
Yeah.
who was the other one?
The Vivian and
Because there's like one other like outlier that like won, but it was like girl, this is everything.
Trinity and Monet because were tied. Remember,
Yeah.
they were tied for All Stars, and then
Mhm.
you have Jinx Monsoon coming
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
Who
Oh,
else?
Jinx and Raja, because they
Raja.
because they were part
Raja.
of like the early winner
Yes,
set,
the
and then you had
early,
the
yeah.
All Star set, and then you
Yeah.
had the
and-
Vivian, and then who was the
Somebody
other one?
else. Is Jada Essence Hall? Jada
Yes,
is.
and Jada,
Jada, yeah.
yeah. So I think those were the ones where I was like, oh, okay, this is like the not miscellaneous, but like
Yeah.
the catch-all of like, okay,
Yeah.
so she won her
Yeah.
regular season, and the Vivian, who I'm just gonna assume lives in the States now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh,
yes.
that was interesting. Y'all,
She was
chose
the
the
first
Vivian.
UK
Nobody saw
winner,
that
yeah.
coming.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. One, like I said with, what was the other one that they did? Oh, UK versus the
Versus
World.
the world.
Mhm,
These are
mhm.
queens that have done the TV show probably multiple times. They know how to put on good television.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's really not about really winning. They're like, let's put on a show.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited to see it. And the cast is a lot of big personalities.
Oh yeah.
So
It'll be
you know they're
good.
going to make good TV.
Yeah.
Them
'cause
booking
they're
rates
seasoned.
just went up.
Yeah.
They said that's why I'm here. I'm not here to win. I'm here to up the booking rate.
Yep, you're exactly right. I'm excited to see what it does.
Yep.
Because even though UK versus the world was a little rocky on parts, I think this it'll be good.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be good.
And I think it's because it's on the home turf.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
I think because so many of the girls that were doing UK versus the world, like one they hadn't been in the machine, like the real Drag Race machine, and it's so different in the US than it is in any of the other
you're
franchises.
So right.
So I'm like, I could see why it was a little clunky because the girls that hadn't been through it didn't understand like some of the ways in which you're kind of supposed to operate when you're in the television show and situations. Whereas like all the US girls is why like the entire energy shifted when they walked in because they're like, oh, the competition just fucking arrived.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's what's going to be different with this. One.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And the judges are fun too. Naomi Campbell was the big one they announced.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for her to throw another phone.
You know they're going to do a bit about it.
Oh,
you
fully.
know they have to. Yeah.
Now, as long as it just goes wrong and she actually throws a phone at somebody, oh, that's gonna
real.
be fucking iconic. Okay, look, it's another slap. Okay,
All right.
fully. That's like, oh my god. So Asia O'Hare is gonna come in, own the show, and Naomi is just gonna go throw in phones. I can't
there you
wait.
go. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But
for that.
you guys, we're going to do one last segment, something we haven't done.
Okay.
What is that?
There's Carol. And then there's Carol. Sassy, slutty, sexy, stinky, right on, Carol.
I don't choose to
Carol, for once in your life, shut your damn
That's
mouth.
not what we're doing.
We've not heard that joke yet. I like that one. Yeah, that's a good original joke for Carol.
Thank you.
And for the people who don't remember where Carol is, because it's been a while, Carol is our gripe of the week, something that gets under your skin that you just need to vent. Do you have one? Who wants to go first?
I don't have one. I have to
Make
think
it
of
up.
one.
Think of it.
I will.
I'll go first. And of course, mine is going to be about Grinder. Here we go.
Yes.
Now that I'm back on the apps.
Now that you're single,
Now that
you've
it's
got
single
like
life.
lots of content
You know
for
what?
this.
This is what bothers me about the grinders is people's profiles that don't have a face pic on it, but yet they in their profile they see "Do not talk to me unless you have a Facebook face pic." And I'm like, girl, how can you be demanding this when yourself doesn't even have your profile doesn't even have a face pic?
That's a lot of emotion.
You know
for
what?
poor
That's
son.
a lot. I'm like, no, you can't know, kiddies.
Can I
no.
pile on top of that? Is
Go
the
ahead.
one where they're like no taps.
You know what I do?
I purposely tap.
tap.
I love.
I hate that
Don't
shit.
tell me what the fuck to do.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
not.
I will tap all goddamn day.
Also, that's called a compliment. Like, take a compliment.
Say thank
yeah.
you.
Say, oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Fucking
You're
people.
annoyed that I complimented you. That's awful. Yeah.
That's my Carol. Do you have one, Amber?
Ooh,
She's like, let me break out my Rolodex.
I'm like, so for me, my Carol, and she just comes up so many times, it's systemic racism. No, I'm joking. I mean, it is systemic racism. No, but I think like on a more like real level, I think my gripe is every time a straight person learns I'm a drag queen and they immediately go, so do you work at Lips? I'm like, you do recognize that, like, I mean, I love Lips, but I'm like, I do also recognize from a business standpoint, that is a drag show that is produced, like, for straight folks to go and see.
Yeah.
So that's their only point of reference. So when you're like, oh, no, yeah, I do shows at, like, Riches and Gossip Girl and Urban Most, like, what the fuck are any of those? Like, how close are they to Lips? And I'm like, girl, there's more than Lips.
I'm
involved.
so disconnected from straight people. I didn't realize that
know,
that's their only reference
It's okay.
of drag.
Most of the straight people I see are in the lifts that I'm taking. And they're like, oh, so you're a drag queen? Because I'll show up in the full leash. Like, oh, where are you headed to? I'm like, oh, to a good. Oh, are you going to Lips? I'm like, there's more than Lips in this entire universe. Please open your palette.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that
Eric?
is a good one. Well, I piled under your grinder and I didn't think of another one.
A pile-on in Grindr? Never been done before.
That's a Sniffies thing.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What do you know about that, Tony?
You showed it to me, bitch.
Exposed!
Oh, that might be true.
And that was the night the lights went out on Who Invited Her.
Oh, wait, I have that. Where is that?
Oh my god, yes!
Wait, talk amongst it. Oh, here it is.
Is the night the lights went out in Georgia.
I used to love that show. I was obsessed with Dixie Carter.
Oh
I
my
used
God,
to
at least
love
I
that show. Oh man, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Ember St.
I
James.
had so much fun.
How do people find you? How do they check out your shows? Give them all the details.
Oh my God. So if you haven't already been listening to me plug absolutely everything so seamlessly.
Consistently.
Consistent branding. There we go. Boom. Clearly this episode is just going to be called Consistent Branding with Amber St. James.
That's the name of the episode.
That's the episode name.
See, I told you,
Consistent
producer
branding.
brain always on.
God, she should be our producer.
Look, as long as the money is right, I'm always willing. So you can find me on Instagram at MXSTJames or just type in Amber St. James. I should be the only top bearded bitch who comes up. I do check every day, so I am still that top girl. And then all of the other links to all the other things are in the bio of my Instagram, but you can find our production company, such as St. James Productions, which I produce a lot of shows with Lux the Drag Queen, Brenda Joy. We work with a lot of local girls. We also work with a lot of budding new girls. That's SOSJP House, spelled HAUS. If you would like to follow any of the things that I'm doing in the House of St. James or just want to see all of us and see what we're doing and what we're bebopping and doing around, you can follow us at House of St. James, spelled HAUSST James. I believe those are all the things that I own. All
Do you
the
have any
different brands
upcoming
and things.
shows?
Oh, I have to think. Oh, I might have to give up my Google Calendar. Literally, I live and die by my Google Calendar. But I do believe I actually have a show this coming week. Oh, I will be at Stunt tomorrow.
Stunt
Yes.
Riches, 9
So
p.m.
please come through.
Yeah.
And then Monday, I will be doing the Menengi Museum for Black Voices United, which
Oh,
is an
nice.
amazing Black organization that was created by one of the folks that I know that I used to go to SDSU with. What else? Oh, I'm also doing Vanity Hour on the 28th, it looks like, according to my Google Calendar, which we love. And I think those are all the things for right now, because there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing come May. And definitely make sure that you are looking out for all of our shows that we're doing for Sisters St. James Productions, because we have a lot of things that we're working on.
Nice.
Some collaborations with Diversionary Theater.
Ooh, I love
working with
Diversionary.
a lot of people. Like we're trying to really go above and beyond.
How do people find you, Eric?
You can find me on Instagram at Daddy Bear Eric.
There you go. You can follow me. It's Tony_Baloney_macaroni on Instagram. You can follow the podcast at Who Invited Her Who Invited Her _podcast on
Girl,
Instagram.
get your consistent branding under
Who
control.
Invited Her ST on Twitter and Facebook. You can always email us at thegang@whoinvitedher.net. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. You can watch us every Tuesday night at 7:30. Is it 7:30
Yeah.
still? Yeah, on Out at
at
TV. What am I forgetting? Anything?
I think that's it.
Yeah, go to the website. We have merch.
Don't forget to also use a condom and get tested.
Yes, get tested. I know how random.
It's never the wrong time to go get tested.
Oh, but you guys, next week we have Mason Lee is coming
Whoa.
on.
Yes.
Yes, a trans man, and he's an amazing photographer and activist. He's going to be calling in. We're going to chat with him. I'm really excited.
Yes,
he
me
was
too.
on my thirst trap a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he reached out, and I was like, come on the show. And he's like, yeah, sure. So,
I love that.
It'll be good. Thank you again, Amber.
Thank
I hope you
you.
come back on the show.
Oh,
You're more than
absolutely.
welcome. It's
Y'all-
been
y'all
so
just
much
let me know when
fun.
y'all want me, and I will come back.
You guys, we will see everybody next week.